This is CBC Here and Now.
Turkey, Christmas carols, and mummering. I'll take you behind the scenes of Christmas dinner at the Gathering Place coming up on Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Heather Gillis. We begin tonight with a breaking story from Central Health. About an hour ago, the authority announced one of its workers has been impersonating a registered nurse at a long-term care facility in Gander. We go now to Terry Roberts, who's standing by in our newsroom. So Terry, what do we know at this point?
Well, Heather, Central Health CEO Andre Robichaud, she issued a news release just before 5 o'clock. She said the health authority received some disturbing news on December 14th from the province's College of Registered Nurses. Now that news, that a person working as a travel nurse for a private healthcare staffing agency, a company called Solutions Staffing Inc., had been impersonating a registered nurse. And in a move that surprised us here at the CBC, the health authority identified the woman. Her name, Lisa Driscoll. Now she trained as a practical nurse, but does not hold a license as an LPN or an RN in the province. We're told she used the license number of an existing RN who had a similar name. Lisa Driscoll worked a total of 25 shifts at Lakeside Homes in Gander between August 19th and November 7th. Central Health says a review of all resident care from that period has been carried out, and this is important. They say there was no harm done to any residents. However, during her 25 shifts, concerns about her performance unrelated to patient care were raised on 2 separate occasions. Those concerns were addressed, says Central Health.
So Terry, how is it that something like this can happen?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Central Health, well, they work with several staffing agencies to provide extra nursing support when it's needed. Now, those agencies, they're responsible for vetting and verifying the credentials of the nurses, not Central Health. Now, in this instance, we're told the license was verified in error by Solutions Staffing Inc. Now, when we here at the newsroom, we did a Google search on the name Lisa Driscoll, and we immediately discovered she had already been red flagged as what they call an unregistered practitioner by the governing body for nurses in Ontario. So this appears to be a pattern. Now in the Ontario database, she's identified by multiple names. We're talking Lisa Strickland, Lisa Driscoll, Michelle Driscoll. She was actually flagged as far back as June 29th, before she began working for Central Health. Now Central Health says the RCMP has been informed. As for lessons learned, Central Health says safeguards have been put in place to ensure this does not happen again. Meanwhile, CEO Andre Robichaud says this is a serious situation, but is stressing that no one was harmed as a result of this. And she says residents of Lakeside Homes and their families will be contacted directly in the coming days. Heather?
Thanks, Terry. That's our Terry Roberts reporting live. We'll continue to follow this developing story. Right now, you can visit our website to read more, cbc.ca/NL. In other news, a strike is looming for paramedics in rural Newfoundland after last-minute contract negotiations broke down. Around 120 paramedics and ambulance workers from the fewer group of ambulance are preparing to strike. The workers and the union have been in a position to legally strike since mid-November. Teamsters Local 855 says owner Bob Fewer has refused to negotiate for months with his staff in Ferryland, Trepassey, Come By Chance, Gambo, and Clarenville. A union rep says if the members wanted to strike, they could be on the picket line in about an hour.
Wages are a big part, of course. There's a big wage disparity between us and the private industry, but we're not even trying to make par with the public industry. We just want to make a good living wage for our members. And, you know, we look at other things too that are going to help our members in the long term. Like we don't have any pension program for our members in this industry. You know, we have members who work their entire lives as paramedics, EMRs in this province, and when they get to the point that their bodies just won't allow them to do it anymore, there's nothing for them to fall back on when they leave the industry.
All of the workers preparing to strike are employed by Bob Fewer of Fewer's Ambulance. CBC News has contacted Fewer's for comment, but hasn't received word back. We'll have more from the union a little later on Here and Now. And an early start to the flu season is sending a record number of kids to hospital. Tonight, one pediatrician says it's the worst she's seen. Here and Now's Peter Cowan explains why and how to protect young people.
Emergency rooms are packed, filled with children with fevers and trouble breathing.
This is on a scale that we have not seen before. I've been back here for more than 10 years, and I worked in Manitoba in the H1N1 influenza pandemic, and I've never seen anything like this before when it comes to respiratory illness in children.
It's hitting young people disproportionately hard. As of 10 days ago, 42 children in this province had been hospitalized because of the flu. In fact, people under 20 make up almost half the positive influenza cases identified so far this year. There are early signs that the numbers may be peaking, but for every case, there's a worried family.
It's terrifying. These poor parents are coming in, and they may have to wait for a long time for their very sick kids to be seen. And watching your child in the waiting room, breathing heavily with a fever, it's very, very scary. And then to go on to be admitted to hospital, it's a nightmare.
Why so many cases now? Experts say during the pandemic, young children weren't exposed to respiratory viruses because of masking and distancing over the last 3 years, meaning they're just catching them for the first time now. It's not just flu, there's adenovirus, RSV, colds, and COVID, and that's why some kids seem to be constantly sick.
You're sick 1 week, and then it goes through your house, and then a week later, you're sick again. And these sicknesses are all similar symptom-wise. But what's happening is we're just being exposed to the different viruses that all sort of came back as a group at the same time. And it feels like everyone's sick all the time. But I think what will happen is, again, once we get these initial rounds of infections done, then we should all have our immunity boosted, and we should be good after that.
The good news is the influenza vaccine helps protect kids. The bad news, only a small percentage of young children have received it. Hospital officials are urging more parents to get their kids vaccinated to keep them out of hospital. Peter Cowan, CBC News, St. John's.
Still with health news, 6 more people have died from COVID-19 in the last week. 3 of those people were over the age of 80, while the other 3 were in their 70s. There are now 19 people in hospital. 2 of those patients are in critical care.
Well, were you at least a little bit more happy today thanks to the sun? It finally came out. Here's a shot from Coldbrook, just near Stephenville on the west coast. Lots of bright sky today, which was certainly nice, some blue sky. We did see some of that sunshine here in the metro area as well as along the northeast coast. That was certainly nice. But just in time for winter to arrive. We're about just over 10 minutes, 12 minutes really, until winter officially arrives in the province. We're looking at, about 8.5 hours of daylight today, so the shortest day, and we're going to see the days get a little bit longer as we head through, from here on out. We're looking at about 1 second tomorrow, but by the time we get into January, we are looking at some nicer weather for sure. We do have a number of warnings in place, some special weather statements as well as we get into the weekend. I'll get into the full details coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Unless more funds come in, staff at the Paradise Food Bank fear they're going to suffer another financial loss this year. Last year, for the first time, the food bank took a big hit, an $80,000 loss. Donations are going down, and there's not enough food to keep up with rising demand.
Our problem is we're buying more because there's less coming in. And of course, everything costs more. Electricity costs more, internet costs more, everything costs more that we have to buy. I'm looking at another deficit this year. Now, we had a good surplus over the number of years, but it's not sustainable.
Hundreds were served a hot meal today at the Gathering Place in St. John's at the center's Christmas dinner. But as Here and Now's Daryl Roberts reports, the annual event is about more than just the food.
The Gathering Place was a hive of activity this morning.
It's going to be organized chaos.
Staff and volunteers busy prepping Christmas plates, organizing stockings, and setting up live entertainment for more than 300 guests. Lucille Brennan's role is to make this Christmas a little less blue. That's where the mummers come in.
This is a very sad time of year for a lot of individuals. It's not nice being homeless any time of the year, but being homeless at Christmas time makes it more painful. Also, people, have lost access to a lot of their family members due to mental health addictions. So we're their family, and we love and support them during this special season, when they can't be with family members. We fill in that role for them.
Crossroads Inn and Suites sponsored this year's dinner.
2022 has been a hard year, and 2023 doesn't look like it's going to be much better as we're going. And a lot of people need help, and I think you need to look at the gathering place as not only a place for the homeless to come that need help. There are a lot of people in all of the cities and places around us that need help, and this is the time of year to give.
The gathering place provides 3 meals a day, all year round, and that isn't the only service.
There are numerous programs. People come here to get a shower. They come here to do their laundry. We have our own dental clinic right here where dentists, dental assistants, and dental hygienists come and they volunteer their services.
Davis says their temporary shelter is filling up more often than ever, with staff sometimes having to turn people away. And this year, individual donations are down.
People still want to give to the gathering place, but it's harder for them to do so. So while we still get donations from individuals, it's very common now for us to see smaller amounts coming from individuals who had given greater amounts in the past, because the economy is hurting everybody. That's the simple fact of it.
Now, the gathering place has big ambitions for next year, including more shelter space next door, all in response to a need that keeps growing. Daryl Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Meanwhile, police in Springdale are asking for the public's help tracking down someone involved in a hit and run from a few months ago. It happened in a parking lot on September 6th. Police say a truck struck another vehicle while backing out of a spot and sped off without stopping. Officers haven't had any luck identifying the man and would like to speak with him. Anyone who recognizes the person is asked to contact the RCMP or Crime Stoppers. To the West Coast now, where Marble Mountain is pushing back the start of its ski season. Staff say it's very unlikely the hill will open on December 28th as planned. In a post this afternoon, the hill says the upper parts of the mountain are in great shape, with fresh snow still falling. But without snow-covered runs sloping down the hill, staff can't operate the chairlifts. In the meantime, Marble is running its snowmaking machines to help fill in the gaps. The ski hill says it's shaping up to be a typical season and hopes to open in the first or second week of January. But it's a different story in Western Labrador. Come Boxing Day, Smoky Mountain will be the first hill in the province to open for the season.
We got our go-ahead from the provincial government for our lifts about a month and a half ago, and we did some significant lift evacuation training, changed our lift evacuation program completely, bought a ton of new equipment, and trained a bunch of people. That took a little bit of time previous to that, so we're sort of itching to go, but unfortunately, this year the snow gods haven't been as raring to go. Well, we're hoping to do significantly more programming for younger children. That'll be announced in the next few weeks. Hopefully, with any luck, a few more hours of skiing. So anyone who wants to volunteer for ski patrol, they'd love to have people. The more we have, the more we can do. Lots of snow and lots of people. I mean, Smoky for me is a family, right? So, seeing all our family up there, our Smoky family, and getting some turns with my skiing friends and my snowboarding friends. I try to point this out. I mean, we're a not-for-profit, so at the end of the day, probably how much fun we're going to have trumps whether we're going to make it any money or just break even.
A Manitoba couple is on a mission to promote healthy eating and draw attention to climate change while sailing the Atlantic in their environmentally friendly sailboat. The broadcast's Paula Gale dropped by to take a tour of their vessel in St. John's before the pair set sail for Fermuse.
Yeah, this is our sailboat, 47-foot steel sailboat. Its name is Hackloot.
It's a beautiful boat. You've got bicycles on board here. I see some wind turbines. Tell me what's unique about this vessel, Judith.
Well, we have electric motors as opposed to a diesel engine, which is very environmental friendly. We have batteries, a big lithium battery bank, and that gets charged by either solar panels, wind generators, or we regen the batteries with sailing. Like when we sail, we can turn the props, and then it basically feeds into the batteries again.
And I understand that you have 4 furry friends on board?
Exactly. It's Edward, Flynn, Chloe, and Elsky. And these are 4 dogs. And they love sailing and they love the adventure. And as soon as we dock on a new, they can't wait to come out when we dock somewhere and they know they have new territory to explore.
It started out as a mission to sort of give back to the climate, or at least give back to the planet as best as we can. And so the original brainchild was to be able to take researchers, students, to remote locations up in the Arctic, sort of a similar paradigm to the owner that owned the boat prior to us. So we're going to entertain that a couple years down the road. And for now, what we're doing is just promoting the health of the environment. We have several means and ways of doing things a little bit differently than most people would in either an RV or a sailboat to sort of keep our environmental impacts down. Certainly the electric motors is the #1 thing. And a lot of people wanted us to wait till spring, and we're like, well, the adventure is here upon us, and let's start now. And we're in no hurry, and we're in no rush, and we're not taking any serious risks. So we'll just bide our time and wait for good weather, and we'll move when we can.
The Handbell Choir at the Gower Street United Church is ringing once again. It was on a lengthy hiatus, but the choir was brought back by popular demand and just in time. For some members of the congregation, handbells are sounds of the season.
It's doing music in a different way. You are a couple of keys on the piano, and when your note comes by, you got to be there, and then you got to get out of the way. You have to play it in the right way. So it requires a different kind of attention. It's basically we are being a big keyboard instrument ourselves.
Well, this is a project that began in 1987, and there was a family that donated some funds to start the bell choir in memory of one of their loved ones. And they generously donated to purchase the bells. And then, of course, as the kids got older and left and moved on, it kind of took a hiatus. And a little while ago, they decided to revitalize the band and start it up again.
People were saying, you know, it'd be really nice if we could hand the handbell choir back. And I said, well, we've got to have a handbell. I mean, we've got to have people who will commit. And commitment is always a problem. So we said, well, send it out there. So we sent out a note. Anybody willing to commit, you're going to have to commit an hour a week to rehearse, and you've got to be able to read music. And I wasn't really sure what the turnout would be. As it turns out, there are lots of people who are interested in playing.
I used to sing in the choir, but I haven't got the voice for that anymore. So when the notice came out about the bell choir starting again, I thought, that's something I think I'd like to try.
3 and 4.
And I was a member of the bell choir, I'm going to say back in the early 90s, and then I rejoined again this fall with my kids. It is the highlight of their week. Like most Wednesdays, I'll see in their agenda from school, like, it's bell choir night, with like all the asterisks. Yeah, they love it.
The best part is the music. Well, it's really nice, but it's really loud as well. Mm-hmm. My mom can tell me stories of what happened when she was a kid, and it's really cool.
At first I thought it was just going to be a cacophony of sound, but it isn't. Because especially if you know the tune that you're playing, and you can hear all the different notes coming in on time, and they all blend together, and it's lovely.
Well, it's quite a unique experience. The sound is really quite, not haunting, but it's a very different sound, and I think it really helps kick off the Christmas season. It is one of those, I guess, instruments that is quite unique to Christmas to me, and I think for the congregation as well.
Well, that certainly looks like fun, but a little fun fact about the bell choir, they wear gloves so that the oil from their hands don't damage the brass bells. And guess where they get those gloves?
From the undertaker. Those gloves come courtesy of Carnell's. He's dreaming of a white Christmas, but so far, it's just a dream. Jeremy Eaton brings us his special no snow report just ahead.
Yeah, and well, at least it's not raining. Let's just say that. It does look like we'll see a green Christmas. Some places might see some snow, though. We'll talk about the full forecast coming up.
This special bird is going to come fly to your house and bring you good luck.
Christmas is different in Tanzania.
The cheesiest, most fun Christmas songs.
There was a rubber boot in there and just all this junk.
Mammers! Mammers! What is mammers?
Spreading that tradition, sharing it with our friends.
A little bit of joy and a little bit of dancing.
It took me forever to try to figure it out, but...
Not much has changed, Fred.
No.
Welcome back. Before we bring Ashley back with the weather, let's talk about snow. Western Canada is buried under a blanket of it, and towns there, big and small, are being disrupted. Here on the East Coast, there is also winter disruption, but of a different kind. Here and Now's Jeremy Eaton brings us winter so far in St. John's.
And as we head into the home stretch of the holiday season, questions remain. Where is it? When is it coming? And how long until it gets here? Well, they all sort of agree that it will come, it's just a matter of time. And when it will come, well, that remains to be seen. And really, only time will tell. Jeremy Eaton, CBC News, St. John's.
And thanks to Jeremy Eaton and editor Mark Cumby for that artful production on the less than white start to our winter season here on the Avalon so far.
Yes, it has been less than white, that's for sure.
And some people are, sad that winter is not here yet, and some people always looking for eternal summer.
I keep hearing, well, you can't shovel rain, so they're happy about that. But, everybody's wondering, we're getting to Christmas. Are we going to have a white Christmas? It doesn't look like that's the case here in St. John's. But let's take a look at what has been happening over the last couple of years. Environment and Climate Change Canada has run a few numbers for St. John's and Happy Valley Goose Bay. And I thought some interesting things that we'd break down here. So taking a look at the percent of a chance of white Christmas from 1960 to 1984 was about 56%. From 1997 to 2021, that number has jumped 12% in St. John, so there's a better chance of seeing a white Christmas. Now, as far as a perfect Christmas, what does that define? Well, it means that there's 2 centimeters on the ground by the time you wake up Christmas morning, and there's snow falling through the day. So 24 times that has happened, and green Christmases from 1988 to 2021, about 11 times we've seen those. So we're going to add another one in that column this year. Now, as far as Happy Valley Goose Bay, it's different. So you've seen 100% chance between 1960 and 1984, and that has dropped 4% in recent years. 53 of the past Christmases have been perfect from 2007 to 1955 to 2007, and you've only seen a green Christmas once. Now this year it is definitely going to be a white Christmas. In fact, we're looking at this system that's moving through is actually going to bring potentially a snowstorm up for you through Christmas Eve and then into Christmas Day as well. So let's take a look at what's going on right now. Not a whole lot as far as Newfoundland and Labrador is concerned, but we do have lots of Arctic air across central portions of Canada. In fact, breaking some records as far as low temperatures go. And this system is going to encounter some milder air. So here's a look at that dip in the jet stream. As we head through to Friday, just going to put this into perspective for you. Look how deep this cold air goes. Friday morning, or Friday afternoon, I should say, for Orlando, your temperatures in Orlando will be about 21 degrees. By the time we get to Christmas Eve morning, as that cold air dips, likely waking up to near zero or below zero for your Christmas Eve morning. So we do have a lot of cold air to be in play over the next couple of days, and that means that all of that cold air is also going to head towards Atlantic Canada by the time we get into the weekend. So just taking a look at the watches and warnings already in place. They span from Ontario through to Atlantic Canada, including Newfoundland and Labrador. And we already have some winter storm watches as well as winter storm warnings in place. So if you do have any travel plans over the next couple of days, you're definitely going to want to watch this one closely. I do anticipate lots of cancellations, flight delays, and lots more where that came from as far as Ontario is concerned. So here's what's going to happen. By Friday, Thursday evening into Friday, we're already starting to talk about some strong winds, the potential for heavy rain, as well as some snow, depending on where you are across Ontario. This will head towards the Maritime provinces by the time we get into Friday afternoon. So we could be seeing some heavy rain, strong winds in excess of 100 kilometers per hour in some cases, some areas of New Brunswick seeing snow. And then Friday evening into Saturday morning, it heads towards Newfoundland and Labrador. So at this point, overnight, we're likely going to see this start quickly as a rain-snow mix through the day, through the morning hours rather. This will be all snow up across Labrador. And then Christmas Eve day, this will fall all as rain, and it looks like we'll see some pretty gusty winds right along with it. So it is looking pretty messy. We'll talk about the numbers tomorrow or into Friday, but we are looking at some significant winds as far as that's concerned. We could be talking about gusts in excess of 100 kilometers per hour, certainly for the west coast and parts of the southwest coast as well. Now, as far as tomorrow goes, we're looking at a quiet day, another day of seeing that sunshine. It looks like in most cases, we may see a few flurries in the mix as well, but the winds will finally ease. Temperatures will be generally below zero, so definitely going to feel a bit more winter-like than it has for the last couple of days for the first full day of winter. And then as far as Labrador goes, you're looking at your temperatures into the minus single digits towards the coast and minus double digits for Lab City, about minus 14. So again, things are going to get messy. I'll talk about amounts when I come back.
Hi, my name's Matthew and this is my pigeon Chai.
Hi, my name's Jay and this is our other pigeon, Peaches. This gal here, she's actually a rescue. We rescued her from Bowring Park. When we found her in there, she had a little cut on her leg because she was banded. We knew that someone definitely dumped her down at the park, so we took her on home. They're very misunderstood creatures. They make great support animals. They're very resilient to the avian flu, and we're more likely to make them sick than they are to make us sick. They're just awesome pets. It's like cats with wings.
She was so malnourished when we found her, and then once she started getting the gratitude that she needed, like getting the love and getting her food, and she just really connected with us. Like you can see how chill she is. She never really moves anywhere. She wants to be connected with us, kind of thing. Once you give that gratitude to an animal, like they really know that they are connected to you at that point.
Are you singing, buddy?
He hears the music, so he's liking the music.
We just want to make a good living wage for our members.
A potential strike for paramedics in rural Newfoundland. On the Go host Anthony Germain speaks with Hubert Daw of Teamsters Union Local 855. That's just ahead.
This year, we're connecting more, we're sharing more, and we're helping more. This season, whatever kind of season you make it, make the season kind.
120 paramedics, dispatchers, and emergency medical responders could be on strike very soon. Hubert Daw is with the Teamsters. So, Hubert, what is the latest?
We have been in negotiations since February of last year. On November 18th, we were given permission by the Minister to hold a strike vote. We have since conducted those strike votes, and as we had a strong mandate given to us by the members that they are willing to take job action to make sure that their demands are met.
Now, I know that the actual mandate is above 90% for many of the locals and 100% in other of the companies. Is it all about wages?
Wages are a big part, of course. There's a big wage disparity between us and the private industry, but we're not even trying to make par with the public industry. We just want to make a good living wage for our members. And, we look at other things, too, that are going to help our members in the long term. Like we don't have any pension program for our members in this industry. We have members who work their entire lives as paramedics, EMRs in this province, and when they get to the point that their bodies just won't allow them to do it anymore, there's nothing for them to fall back on when they leave the industry.
Let me ask you this. What is morale like right now among your members?
I had a lot of reservations about going out and doing the strike mandate, the strike votes. I wasn't very sure how the members would take to it. We are medical professionals. We all got in this industry because we want to help people, and nobody in the industry really wants to be put in this position, but unfortunately, this is the only means that we have to be able to get some significant change in rural Newfoundland and Labrador and hopefully make a better service for all the people in our province.
Now, is there any kind of essential service, some sort of guaranteed minimum? Because a lot of people watching us go, how can you do this? You guys are ambulances. You save and help people. You can't walk off.
Unfortunately, in this province, our paramedics and EMRs are not considered an essential service. So if we are considered the same as any other industry that is unionized, once we take a strike vote and have our strike mandate, our members have the permission to take to the streets and withhold their service.
Final question for you. How soon could you be on strike?
If our members were to turn around and give me the direction, we could be on strike within an hour.
Hubert Daw, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Returning now to the Paradise Food Bank. As we reported earlier, staff there say they're stuck in an unsustainable system. Donations are down and more food is going out than is coming in.
We took a loss last year for the first time since we've been opened. $80,000 loss, which is big. We're buying more food. There's more food, or there's less coming in. There's more going out. And with the price of food going up, and of course with the snowmageddon first and then the pandemic, it's like the perfect storm. And it just hit us, and it hit all food banks, and we were all hit by this, some worse than others. We managed to get through it because we serve such a large community, and there's a lot of people in the community who do help out the food bank and support the food bank. Both businesses and retail, just about everybody on the shore. I think we're going to run another deficit unless more money comes in, because our problem is we're buying more because there's less coming in, and of course everything costs more. Electricity costs more, internet costs more, everything costs more that we have to buy. I'm looking at another deficit this year. Now, we had a good surplus over the number of years, but it's not sustainable. At the rate it's going, it's not sustainable for any food bank. With the prices going up, there's less and less people working, and now we've got the immigrants coming in. They need help. It's just not there. Most of what you see around you is what we purchased in the last couple of weeks. Shortly after Christmas, most of this will be gone again. We'll do 350 hampers a month. We did 461 for Christmas. So that's a lot of food. When you take 300 hampers, 350 hampers, quantify that, you're looking at probably 10 or 11,000 tins of soup alone. You're looking at 5,000 or 6,000 tins of beans. You're looking at thousands of tins of, everything's in the thousands. So it is quite expensive. As long as there's money coming in and we can pay the rent and we can buy food, we will. But we're looking at it kind of day by day to see what we're going to do. These days it is a day by day thing. Some days it's feast and some days it's famine. We are going to put out appeals after Christmas. We're going to do a Christmas appeal. I don't think we're going to close. I think we're going to have to look at what we give out and how much we give out and when we give it out, if it comes to that. You know, but we can only look at it on a day-to-day basis. Like today, we can give hampers. 2 weeks from now, I don't know. Because after Christmas is our worst time. That's when we need the most money in. And that's when we need the most food in, and that's when it's the most difficult time for us.
I mean, getting back out to Botwood and stuff like that, that's pretty much where my whole family is living. I mean, this Christmas, I don't get to go back.
And that's because this Newfoundlander is suiting up with Team Canada on Boxing Day at the World Juniors. Our Ryan Cook catches up with Zach Dean of Mount Pearl just ahead on Here and Now.
Hi, I'm Daryl Din, video producer and video journalist in Labrador City, wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Here's to 2023.
Team Canada kicks off its title defense at the World Junior Hockey Championship starting Boxing Day, and there's a Newfoundlander on the squad this year. Mount Pearl's Zach Dean joins me now from Moncton. So Zach, how are preparations going so far?
It's been pretty good. Last week, there was a lot of practices. We had some heavy schedules. This week, we're getting into some pre-tournament games, so I'm really enjoying it. I'm having lots of fun, and I'm looking to next week when the actual tournament starts.
Now, it's obviously hard for Newfoundlanders to make it on the big stage. It takes a lot of sacrifice. And I know that for your family, that meant moving away when you were just 15 years old. I'm wondering, in a moment like that, when you find out that you've made a team like this, how much do you reflect on those sacrifices and what it took to get to this stage?
Yeah, I mean, obviously moving away when I was 15, that was something that I kind of figured I needed to do if I wanted to kind of pursue my hockey career. I think that would have been probably the best option for me for my career and development. So I think that first year in Toronto, that really helped me with my development. I think right now I probably wouldn't be where I am if I didn't do that. So I think it was really important for me, and I had a lot of fun that year in Toronto. So.
Now, I know that you call Mount Pearl home, but you have a big hockey family from Botwood. Your grandfather, Bob Dean, was the first Newfoundlander to win a Memorial Cup. Your father, a heck of a player as well. What was it like growing up in a big hockey family like that, and how much do you credit them with the success that you've had?
Yeah, no, it's really good. I mean, I always got their support. It's pretty cool what my pop and my dad have done. So. Like I said, they support me with it, with all my decisions. They're always there to help me, and I love them for that. And just, I mean, getting back out to Botwood and stuff like that, that's pretty much where my whole family is living. So, I mean, this Christmas I don't get to go back, but they'll all be supporting me there, and some will be coming up to watch. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm really grateful for all their support.
Now, I know that this tournament is a little different than most. Canada's coming into it after a year of turbulence for Hockey Canada. And I'm just wondering, how was that situation addressed with this year's team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's something that was kind of big that's been going on. There was lots of steps that we had to take, and I think it was really good for us. I think Hockey Canada has done a really good job with that as well. So for me, I think it's really important, and I think Hockey Canada realizes how important it is. And like I said, we had to take a lot of measures and over the summer and over the past few weeks. So.
And on that note, what's it like to be representing your country for the first time, to get that, to get the call to go to camp, to get that knock on your door, and now to be preparing for the biggest tournament of your life? What's it like to put that maple leaf on your chest?
Yeah, no, I mean, yesterday, obviously playing the pre-tournament game, it was pretty cool. The Moncton Arena was pretty packed. But I mean, especially once the tournament starts on Boxing Day, it's going to be a pretty surreal feeling in Halifax once we get out there for warm-up and puck drop starts.
All right. So play kicks off Boxing Day against Czechia in Halifax. Zach, good luck.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's the reason DFO had to cancel research on northern cod stocks in Capeland. The Canadian Coast Guard vessel called Needler is expected to be back in service next year. The 40-year-old ship broke down this fall twice. The CBC's Paul Withers has this update.
First, it was a generator that powers the ship's trawl winch. It failed while Needler was at sea working off Newfoundland. The winch hauls nets used in fish surveys. The breakdown ended Needler's fall science mission, and it went to St. John's for repairs. While it was alongside, the ship suffered another mechanical breakdown in late November. A fitting failed on the tank that stores compressed air used to start the main engine. There were no reported injuries. Needler returned to Dartmouth on the weekend. Repairs to the generator are underway and expected to be completed by mid-February. This was the second time in 4 years the generator failed. There is no word from the Coast Guard on how much these emergency repairs will cost. The ship is scheduled to enter a $4 million life extension refit in January. was actually supposed to be retired at the end of this month, but the Coast Guard says it's needed at sea until June to complete mission-critical operations, what's known as comparative fishing, alongside Canada's new offshore fisheries science vessels. That involves the new and old ships repeatedly fishing side by side over wide areas. The differences between each vessel's trawl performance are calibrated to ensure continuity in DFO's data. That's key to tracking long-term changes in the ecosystem. Needler was carrying out comparative fishing when the generator failure knocked it out of service this fall. The Coast Guard says Needler will be ready to sail in 2023 as it completes one final mission. Paul Withers, CBC News, Halifax.
Hi, I'm Russell Bowers, freelance writer and host with CBC Radio. You know, last year I moved back home after 20 years away. And one of the things that always made me feel at home when I was away was a bit of Christmas in a glass. This season, I hope you've got all the things that help you feel at home, and best wishes for the year to come. From all of us at CBC in Newfoundland and Labrador, happy holidays.
Welcome back. And Ashley, we are barreling straight towards Christmas now. Only a few days left to get your shopping done and towards a pretty busy travel season with some messy weather on the way.
Yeah, an area of low pressure barreling towards Ontario and Atlantic Canada. And it's looking pretty messy. Now, the good thing is that up until essentially Friday, it's pretty nice weather. So let's take a look at what's going on. We'll actually see the sun again Thursday and then again into Friday, it looks like at this point, as a ridge of high pressure dominates the weather, the calm before the storm, as they say. Those temperatures are going to be below zero again, so it'll feel winter-like, and some sunshine, maybe the chance of a few flurries in the mix for eastern areas of the island, and then up across Labrador. Pretty nice, but cold. Typical this time of year, though. -13 in Lab City, -12 in Happy Valley Goose Bay. But there is the mess, and it's headed towards the island as we head into Christmas Eve. Now, if you do have travel plans on Friday and you're heading towards the Maritime provinces, you may have some delays, but our delays here in, well, let's say the metro area and then parts of central, maybe even the west coast, and really up across Labrador. Once that snow moves in, that's when we'll start to see those delays or cancellations. So Saturday morning, things will start to deteriorate fairly quickly. We'll see a wintry mix to start. Snow, maybe overnight ice pellets, some freezing rain is possible as well, but this will be all snow and wind up across Labrador as we head through the afternoon on Saturday. And then temperatures skyrocketing as we head through the afternoon. As those temperatures climb, it will change over to rain and significant rainfall at that. So we're looking at between 5 to 10 degrees for Christmas Eve across the island. A little cooler for the northern peninsula. Long-range mountains might see snow at this point, and then up across Labrador, mild again, so between 0 and about -3, but this will be a snow event for you. So as far as the winds go, we're talking about the winds really ramping up into the evening hours on Friday. So we could be seeing those gusts near 100 kilometers per hour, certainly for the Wreck House area. And then as we head through the day on Saturday into the morning hours, really ramping up. So between 100 to 140 kilometer per hour winds is what we're talking about. Otherwise, widespread wind gusts up across Labrador and the island, somewhere between 80 to as much as 100 kilometers per hour. So definitely going to keep an eye on that one. As far as snowfall amounts go, highest up across Labrador, we could be talking between 15 and 20 centimeters of snow. That's early indications things may change. Long range forecast, once we get into Christmas, we may see a few flurries. It won't be a white Christmas by any means, but we are still looking at the temperature above 0. And same thing into Monday. But again, slight chance we could see some flurries and then maybe some sunshine. Same thing through central Newfoundland. Temperatures a bit cooler though for you. And then western Newfoundland, more gray skies, the story with that chance of a few flurries in the mix for you and some onshore flurries really. So for eastern Labrador, Monday or by the time we get into Monday, we're going to see that drop in temperatures down to the minus double digits. And then western Labrador, flurries the story for you. Eventually the winds will ease and then temperatures into the minus teens. So it was very, very high seas earlier today. This is some wave action in CBN. Eugene Howell shared that great shot with us. And if you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, send them to Facebook, Twitter, or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
What a shot.
Isn't that a great one?
Action shot,
Love
for
it.
sure.
Love those action shots.
Well, Ashley, we'll be paying close attention to the weather between now and Christmas Eve and into Christmas Day as well.
We certainly will.
All right, well, that's it for us here at CBC's Here and Now tonight. Good night. Take care.
Good night.